President Trump just absolutely broke the entire internet by posting this. So he first posted this on Truth Social, and now he just posted this on X. And I haven't even seen the reactions, but I can completely imagine the radical, extreme, anti American hypocrite, AKA Democrats, are just losing their absolute mind. I haven't, if you haven't seen it, this literally just happened today, by the way. You can see the date right there, February 15th. This is Saturday, 2025. He posted it this morning, just a few hours ago. And a lot of people are attributing this quote to Napoleon. There isn't actually any confirmed evidence that he said this, but Napoleon has said a lot of things like this. So he says, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." And Elon Musk has since reposted this. I myself has reposted this as well. Follow me on X, by the way, at Professor Nez. I only have one account, so I'm the verified at Professor Nez. Links in the description and pinned comment. Everybody's losing their mind. If you haven't seen it yet, you're going to. I'm sure Ghetto Crockett, I'm sure, Shifty Schiff, I'm sure Murphy, I'm sure all the ridiculous liberals are going to be saying, "Oh, look at this, he's Hitler, he's Project 2025. You're going to hear all that stuff. I'm actually going to go to my trusty outline. Remember the outline? Love the outline. It's been a while, but I'm going to the outline because I'm going to make an argument without hearing even Trump's side of this that I think is going to exemplify and further advocate why I think this quote is so unbelievably appropriate at this point in time in the history of our society. So check this out. So I'd like you to picture a nation on the brink of destruction, its cities under siege, its leadership overwhelmed, and its very survival at stake. In such dire circumstances, should every letter of the law remain sacrosanct? Or can leaders justifiably override legal constraints to secure the nation's future? In advancing the principle, quote, "He who saves his country does not violate any law," I would posit and suggest that when existential threats loom, preserving the state outweighs strict adherence to normal legal protocols. Crucially, this is not a call for chaos or tyranny like the radical left is going to, you're going to hear it ad nauseum, ad infinitum. Rather, it acknowledges that law itself exists to protect the society. When that society's existence hangs by a thread, extraordinary measures may be warranted. And I hope that I'm going to provide this rhetorical argument with substantive historical context, precedents, evidence, and quotes that will back this up. So the moral imperative of national preservation, let's talk about this. This is kind of a higher principle. Laws form the bedrock of civil society, ensuring order and justice. Yet, the ultimate aim of these laws is the well-being of the nation's people. Consider the Declaration of Independence. From the British Crown's perspective, it was unquestionably illegal. However, from the founders' vantage point, it was a moral necessity to guarantee fundamental liberties. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Without this act of defiance, the United States might have not ever been established. I think we can 100% unequivocally say that is true. So the key kind of precept of this is, in true crises, the survival of the collective can supersede the usual legal framework. So that quote has direct lineage to the framing. Remember how I keep saying the same balls that built this nation. It took unparalleled courage for the colonists who are facing literally public hanging, damnation, poverty, famine, death, etc., to do what they did. But if they hadn't taken that risk and had the balls to do something, none of us would be here right now. That's a fact. Number two, the social contract perspective. So thinkers like John Locke and Jean-Jacques Rousseau underscored that government legitimacy flows from the consent of the governed, primarily to secure peace, safety, and liberty. If that state cannot safeguard its people from an existential threat, the foundational social contract is undermined. In that light, a government's duty to defend its citizens may require decisive, extraordinary actions, even beyond normal legal boundaries if the situation demands it. Fun fact, John Locke, the great philosopher, was one of Thomas Jefferson's biggest influences. As a matter of fact, Jefferson has said that if it wasn't for John Locke, a lot of the concepts, philosophies, and ideologies embedded in our Constitution, namely the Declaration of Independence, would not have been there. So John Locke was a huge influence on somebody who I would consider having the greatest command of the English language. I used to say it was a tie between Shakespeare and Thomas Jefferson, but I'm leaning on Jefferson. Key point. I'd love to get your thoughts in the comments. Let me know. Key point. When a nation is destroyed, its laws lose meaning. Preserving life and security becomes the foremost obligation. Duty to future generations. Governments also bear responsibility for those yet to be born. Laws can be altered, reformed, and repealed over time. But if a society collapses, there is no future to protect. Thus, leaders have a moral imperative to act decisively, even drastically, when doing so is crucial for ensuring the survival of next generations. The key takeaway here is safeguarding a nation's future can justify short-term legal concessions. Again, we're not advocating tyranny. We're not advocating direct, implicit, unabashed deviation from law, but we're talking about context. Context matters. Well, we have historical precedents. So, like any good lawyer would argue, you have to have some kind of precedent that really allows you to obtain ethos, credibility. So Abraham Lincoln and the suspension of habeas corpus. During the American Civil War, a lot of you guys might have forgotten this, President Lincoln invoked emergency powers, suspending the writ of habeas corpus to detain suspected Confederate sympathizers and saboteurs. This action was widely criticized for bypassing constitutional provisions. Nonetheless, Lincoln believed this measure was essential to preserve the Union. In hindsight, which is absolutely capital T true, many see this controversial decision as a necessary step that helped the United States survive one of its darkest chapters. The concrete thing here is, my fellow Americans, global citizens, my fellow men and women that reside on this blue-green earth, in extreme emergencies, rapid action may take precedence over ordinary legal processes. Winston Churchill, lots of love to the UK. I know we have a huge UK contingent here. I love all of you guys. Thank you for being here. Love your comments. I love your insights and thoughts. Remember, I always advocate share your thoughts. Just don't share links because it goes to spam. And any personal ad hominem attacks, don't even bother. I don't even care. I don't read them. It doesn't even make it through. You're not going to get anywhere. My comments section is alive with debate. That's what free speech is all about, freedom of expression. I encourage different viewpoints as long as you're thoughtful, constructive. We want to hear from you. In World War II, Winston Churchill, Prime Minister, spearheaded policies such as censorship, rationing, and internment of certain individuals deemed security risks. Now, a lot of people think that curbing these civil liberties, they were deemed vital, that were deemed vital for national survival against the Axis powers. Churchill's resolve inspired a beleaguered populace to unite against a formidable enemy. He was majestic, ultimately playing a major role in saving Britain from invasion. Here's another concrete lesson from that. History often vindicates leaders who take extraordinary measures in moments of genuine peril. Number 3, the Roman dictatorship. In ancient Rome, a dictator could be appointed for a limited term to address emergencies. Figures like Cincinnatus assume near total power to repel invasions or quell internal disorder. Upon resolving the threat, the dictator was expected to relinquish authority, ensuring that extraordinary powers did not become permanent. The concrete takeaway, even early republics. We are a constitutional democratic republic. Representative, a government of the people, by the people, for the people, right? Even in early republics recognized that emergencies might require temporary abandonment of standard legal constraints. So what is this practical rationale? Why a crisis may demand extraordinary actions? Let's try to verify this. Number 1, decisive, rapid response. Bureaucratic procedures and protracted legal processes can hamper swift action. In time-sensitive threats, be they invasions, disasters, or catastrophic crises, delaying necessary measures can prove fatal. A good example is in a severe natural disaster. A governor might bypass typical procurement regulations to expedite essential relief. Hint, hint, Los Angeles going through their fire disaster. Trump said, you got to let these guys in. Mayor Bass is saying, well, we're still waiting. We got to get through. No, no, no. Trump says, no, you got to let them in now. I have emergency powers. Use yours. Oh, that scene where he schooled Mayor Bass in that press conference was just absolutely beautiful to watch. While this move bends normal protocol, it can immediately save lives. So the key takeaway, efficiency in emergency response is paramount, and sometimes legal shortcuts are the only way to achieve it. Also, it promotes unity and morale. When the public sees firm, unambiguous leadership, not feeble, weak-minded shadow government, and a complete vegetable in chief like Joe Biden, even if it temporarily overrides standard legal procedures, it can boost morale and solidarity. Trump's approval rating has been the highest ever in his career. By contrast, if authorities appear indecisive and paralyzed by legal technicalities, public confidence erodes, potentially worsening panic and societal breakdown. Strong leadership under existential threat can unify a population around a shared cause. Number 3, temporarily expanding powers. The assertion that he who saves his country does not violate any laws should not become a free pass for indefinite authoritarianism. Historically, once crises recede, the expectation is that extraordinary powers are relinquished and the rule of law is fully reinstated. So clearly defined conditions for using and then revoking emergency powers, aka maybe executive orders, protect societies from long-term abuses. Let's look at some of the potential counter-arguments and rebuttals, which are going to be much more refined and thoughtful than the radical hypocrite, aka Democrat mooks. Number 1, potential for tyranny. Critics note that despots can weaponize emergency measures to perpetuate power. History is littered with examples of leaders who never relinquished their temporary authority. My rebuttal to that is the solution lies in robust checks and balances and clear legal frameworks outlining what constitutes a genuine existential threat, coupled with strict time limits on extraordinary powers. This dark regime of Biden, which now it's coming out even more and more exposed that he didn't even really have any awareness or cognizance that there's even instances in Democratic operatives that are confiding and confessing that even his crackhead son, Hunter Biden, was in, without security clearance, was in on secret classified meetings of absolute national emergency declaratives, that he was actually running the government at one point, that Dr. Jill, I mean, this is insanity. What they've done to our country is insanity. Number 2, threat to civil liberties. Curtailing constitutional protections can leave lasting scars. One might argue if we violate our values to save them, what are we really preserving? It's so myopic thinking. Leaders must carefully distinguish between severe imminent threats and more routine challenges. In other words, common sense. Only in the direst emergencies should such measures be employed, and normal processes must resume once stability is restored. Once President Trump, and we are well on our way in the most historic first month in office of any president, once he makes America great again, safe again, sane again, healthy again, exercising all of the demons, DEI, woke ideologies, men and women's sports, processed foods that are killing, diabetic epidemic, obesity epidemic, border epidemic. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Once that gets stable, then of course, we're not going to see quotes like that, and powers are going to be quelled. And plus, we have checks and balances. That's what our framers enveloped into our constitutional republic and into our system of government. We already have checks and balances. Impact on international standing. Now, this is really important given J.D. Vance's amazing speech at the Munich Security Conference. And I was just watching some of these ridiculous hypocrite Democrats chiding President Trump. I mean, it's like they've never seen The Godfather. How dare you never talk about family in front of other people like that? It's unbelievable. They're actually going on tirades against America to foreign adversaries. It makes me sick to my stomach. These people are highly treasonous. I mean, they're literally, I've said this many, many times, they are literally committing acts of sedition. Exercising extraordinary powers that conflict with international norms can damage a nation's global reputation and invite backlash. My rebuttal: if national survival is truly at risk, and we've never faced anything like this, this is a crisis of epic proportions. What Biden has left with the economy, our security, our global standing, our fiscal collapse is a national crisis of epic proportions. If national survival is truly at risk, which it is, preserving the state takes precedence. Diplomatic bridges can be rebuilt later. A nation that ceases to exist cannot negotiate its standing. So, in conclusion, I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. From Lincoln's controversial suspension of habeas corpus to Churchill's wartime policies and the Roman dictatorship mechanism, history has demonstrated, and that's just a few, by the way, leaders choose extraordinary means to ensure their country's survival. Far from advocating arbitrary lawlessness, the principle he who saves his country does not violate any law underscores that laws are designed to serve the greater good. When that good, indeed, when the very existence of the nation is threatened, decisive leadership might necessitate temporarily transcending the normal rulebook. Yet, any leader invoking this principle should do so with profound caution. And we all trust President Trump. He got our vote. He won the mandate. He won resoundingly on November 5th. We all put our trust in him. His approval rating is at the highest ever. Knowing that the measure of a just government lies in how swiftly it restores the ordinary legal order once the immediate danger passes. In the final analysis, a country saved can still uphold freedom, justice, and the rule of law. A country lost enjoys none of these benefits. When survival is genuinely at stake, which it is, ensuring the future of a nation is not merely the highest law, it is the condition upon which all laws depend. These hypocrites have absolutely desecrated our land. They've desecrated our values. They've desecrated our standing in the world and the geopolitical landscape. President Trump is absolutely keeping his promises that he made during the campaign, and he's fixing America. America is healing. I'm just so proud of you. I'm so proud of us. And if this is what the first 4 weeks look like, I can't imagine what the rest is going to look like. Prosperity soon come, one and all. I can't wait to get your thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'll leave a link to my presentation in the description down below. If you want to read it or share it, etc., or take a screenshot or whatever, you can do that. So I'll leave a link to it in the description down below if you want to check it out for yourself. I highly recommend you do that. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here, just in case you missed them. Tap my face right there to subscribe and follow. It's free. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I'll see you soon.